All right, so I just wanted to start with a really quick overview of our community health improvement process. I'm assuming most of you are familiar, but for those of you who are new to this kind of work, most health departments do a community health improvement plan, or a CHIP, every 5 years typically, and then health systems will typically do one every 3 years as a result of the Affordable Care Act from about 10 or so years ago. So it's really a cyclical process where we look at our data, we do what's called a CHA, or community health assessment. And then we also typically use another framework. So in our case, we're using the MAP framework, which includes some other local public health system assessments, community context assessment, a strengths and themes assessment. So really trying to get as full a picture as possible of what the community health status, community health needs are. We also try to engage the community throughout the process as much as possible. So currently we're at about 40 different events this summer, handing out a priority issue survey, just letting people know what we're all about, asking people to choose what they consider the top 5 health issues. And now we are also launching the Photovoice campaign to get a little bit of a different perspective from the community on what they think is either healthy or unhealthy. We'll take all of that information and have community meetings in the fall to actually set our priorities. We'll draft our plan, and then we'll form action teams. And then, after the 5-year cycle is over, we evaluate, reassess, and start the process over again. So it is really a cyclical process, trying to be adaptive and flexible and respond to community needs, and really bring the community together for some collective action towards common goals. Next slide. So for our past 5-year plan, the 2017 to 2022 plan, we came up with a vision of safe and healthy neighborhoods by addressing physical and social environmental factors that broke down into 3 different priority areas. So we had economic security, really focusing on safe and affordable housing and food, as well as education. Positive mental health, which really focused on creating a trauma-informed city, as well as increasing access to mental health services. And then finally, inclusive and fair society. In 2020, we added eliminate racism to that priority. So that's really about promoting equitable laws and practices, and really strengthening neighborhood and civic leadership. Next slide. So this just provides kind of a snapshot of some key benchmarks we have for the next 6 months or so. So like I said, right now we're doing a priority issue survey at different community outreach events. It's also online, so we'd love for you to share it with your networks. We can drop the link in the chat later. We'll be talking about Photovoice today, and then we'll have our community health assessment finalized hopefully later this summer. In the fall, we're going to be having a series of community meetings to actually set the priorities. And then in the winter, early spring, we'll be releasing our new plan. Again, that'll be the 2023 to 2028 plan, and then we'll form action teams to hopefully make some progress towards the goals. So I'm going to pass it back to Amanda Daly now. She's going to dive into what Photovoice is all about.
Thank you. So this is just a brief Photovoice activity. So in one sentence, can you guys caption this photo? You can either drop your responses in the chat, or you can come off of mute, whichever you're comfortable with. So it looks like David Frazier dropped in hashtag supporting healthy activities. Katie says supportive. Francis says celebrate, and Raul says empowerment. So yes, these are all really good explanations of, or captions for what is happening in this photo. And then there's things like community. We all need to play together and enjoy each other. And better health starts with you.
Rotate those programs when it was very last minute.
So if we can go ahead and move on to the next slide. Oh, another one we got was everyone wins.
Yes, but just roughly, a lot of them are, 2 of them are in lacrosse. 2 of them.
Okay, so we're all familiar with the phrase, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And that's exactly what we are wanting from the community, is to get involved and express themselves through these photos. And we want to hear from all ages, all backgrounds, all walks of life, to voice their concerns on what Milwaukee's health is looking like. So these photos will be used as a descriptor. And so our goal is to gather pictures from people of all ages, like we said, and we want to hear from everyone on their perspectives of what might be influencing health in Milwaukee, especially from those groups we don't usually hear from. And we're also hoping to bring about the change that will improve these conditions and enhance the lives of Milwaukeeans. And we want these photos to exhibit something that, you know, whether it be positive or negative, impacts health. So these photos will be used to help the MKE Elevate team over the next 5 years prioritize areas of need, like areas to focus on to help elevate Milwaukee, the community members and their health. And we also are wanting to illustrate these concerns to the community partners around Milwaukee so that we can better tackle them. And these photos will also be on display at several public libraries. And these are just a few of the ways that we'll be using these photos. So we want to get you involved because everyone has a unique perspective. We want to hear from as many people as possible, and it offers you the opportunity to be a part of something bigger than yourself, to impact your community, and to voice your opinions on things surrounding Milwaukee's health. So it's really simple. You just take a photo of something, you know, in your neighborhood within Milwaukee. So here you can see an example of, on the left, there's trash on the side of the road. Obviously, that would be more of a negative impact to health. And then on the right, we have pictured a farmer's market with fresh fruits and vegetables, which could be, which is positive, which is a positive impact. And so before you get started, we want you to keep in mind a few things. Please get others' permission before you take photos of them. And please don't submit anything with, you know, nudity or that can be deemed offensive. And then just try not to trespass on private property. Try to always get permission before going and photographing someone else's property. So once you have all of your photos taken, you can head on over to milwaukee.gov/photovoice. There will be a link there for you to click. Also, there is a QR code for you to scan that will also take you directly to the form. And if you submit your form by September 16th, you could be entered to win either an iPad or one of several gift cards, which is also nice. And you can also like and or follow MKE Elevate on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MKE Elevate. And this is just a screenshot of what the submission form looks like. So it's required that you upload at least one photo and make at least one caption, as well as provide your contact information in the event that you are chosen to win a prize. So for each form, you can submit up to 2 photos. If you have more than 2 photos, you're free to submit as many times as you would like. So yeah. And thank you. So we want to just thank you for helping get involved and you wanting to, you know, be the change that you want to see around Milwaukee.
So
Oh.
just as a reminder, please take our survey. So you can go to bit.ly/MKE chip. Amanda Richmond also put the link in the chat. You can join our email list by emailing mkeelevate@milwaukee.gov. And like Amanda said, follow us at MKE Elevate on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We also have the website, milwaukee.gov/elevate for more information.
All right, are there any questions? Feel free to drop those in the chat or come off of mute.
Hey, this is Justin. What kind of permissions would we need if we wanted to cross promote this or share this, or? That was the end of my question.
Yeah, we'd love for you to share with anyone in your network. I sent an email out just earlier this morning that had the flyer, but we can follow up with an email after this with the link to the website, and we'll have a social media graphic too that you can share.
Great.
This is Fran Kaplan. I'm just wondering how community people who aren't involved, like many of us, with organizations, how is this going to reach them?
So we're continuing to do outreach at a variety of events. So earlier this week, there was a food distribution in the Yamane neighborhood. So Tim was there doing surveys. So we're going to start handing out flyers about this at all of the summer outreach that we're doing. So we'll be at farmers markets, other health fairs. We're going to be at Mexican Fiesta, Black Arts Fest. So we've still got quite a few community outreach opportunities to share this. We also have the back to school fair coming up tomorrow.
Great. Have fun.
Hi, this is Sue from the AHA. Forgive me if this is a silly question. I'm just trying to catch up. So are there basically two campaigns? We've got the Milwaukee Elevate survey that we want people to fill out for concerns for the upcoming plan. And then in addition to that, we have this photo contest as kind of an attention grabber. Is that right?
Yeah, so the issue survey is really just kind of having more of the quantitative data on how many people are choosing which issue, and then the photo voice is more of a chance to get a little bit richer context and highlight some issues that maybe we didn't have on our survey, and have a little bit more engagement from the community. So just trying to reach as many people as possible. Some people might prefer to do photos, some might prefer to just take a survey. So hopefully we'll reach everybody through both opportunities.
Got it. Thank you so much.
It looks like we have a question in the chat. Have there been barriers to reaching individuals where they are at?
Lindsay, can you expand on your question a little bit?
Yeah, sorry. So this is something that in our kind of pre-planning, our group was talking about, and we were kind of just listing out all the places where we could kind of go to the people and kind of work with them, whether that be food pantries or like fish fries at a church event. And I was just wondering if there were kind of any lessons learned or barriers thus far about reaching out to different groups, or you know, kind of what are some best ways to be able to do that, if you guys have had any experiences with that at all.
So Tim, Amanda, or anybody from our team, feel free to chime in. The one thing that comes to mind, I guess, is at some of the more like fun events, people don't necessarily want to stop and take a survey. They're there to have a good time. Or, you know, maybe people are busy and don't want to stop. So one thing we do is we have a handout that we can give with the QR code. So if they're in a rush, we can just say, here's a handout, you can take it, you know, at your leisure when you have a minute. I would say that's the main barrier I've encountered, but Tim, Amanda, anybody else, do you have any other thoughts? I see Deb Heim put in the chat. We also had swag to give away in the past to get people to stop. So we do have the Frisbees left over from 5 years ago that are still popular. We've got like lunch cooler bags, pens. So it does help to have swag too.
Sorry, Annika. The only other thing that I would have to add, I definitely agree with everything you've said so far, is most of the outreach events are usually during the day, so early morning, afternoon. So sometimes it's like families. So we're not necessarily reaching out to maybe people who are away at work. So it kind of just depends on what type of event it is. If it's at a farmer's market, we do a lot of that outreach on the weekends or just different community events. So it fluctuates and varies a little bit, but we try to make a presence at bigger events too, but we want to make sure we're getting representation from folks who live in the city of Milwaukee too.
This is David. I wonder also, I didn't hear this, but will there also be paper copies of the survey at the events, or are we really trying to, yeah. I just had an event, we just did an event, and about half of the people, well, I thought everyone would just do this QR code or the tablets we had, and about half wanted to do the paper copy. So I guess we're still needing to balance that. So that's good.
Yeah, we've noticed the same thing, kind of half and half. We've got some tablets that we're using. We have the QR code and then we have the paper copies.
Have you tried to reach people at jobs, like who can, you know, either through ERGs or some kind of job oriented events or meetings can fill us out if you're having, you know, a challenge getting workers because of, you know, the time of day that you have to work?
We haven't considered that, but we definitely welcome any suggestions. Are there any job sites in particular that you would suggest?
You know, it just occurred to me just now, so I haven't really given it any thought. I just thought, you know, well, how would you get to workers, you know, in their workday so that, you know, and some of the bigger organizations around here, you know, some of the bigger corporations may have ways to do this. I mean, I know, for instance, like Northwest Mutual has a lot of events for their employees and they have ERGs. The banks do. You know, and people are not just folks at higher levels, many of whom we know commute into Milwaukee to work, but people who are not at the managerial level who, you know, are more likely to live in Milwaukee. So, you know, maybe just seeing if some of the larger organizations, you know, can help out with this. Miller, you know, not Miller, Molson Coors, you know, some of the bigger, the you know, bigger scrap yards that, you know, things where, you know, you might have, you know, workers who live in the city.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We'll see what we can do there. And if you have any contacts, feel free to drop them in the chat and we can connect with people. Looks like Deb had a question. How are you screening out those who are not city residents? Amanda Richmond, do you want to take that one?
Sure. So we are trying to be pretty broadly inclusive. So we want to include folks who live and are city residents, but also folks who work or play in the city as well. So we have a question that asks folks, do you live in the city of Milwaukee? And if so, we ask them to share their zip code. But we also invite participants who don't necessarily live here, but also still feel some kind of stake and investment in the city of Milwaukee. Although typically sometimes, so like this weekend, we were at a farmer's market and someone who lives in Chicago had come by. And so they said, oh, I'd love to participate, but I don't live here. And so sometimes people will self-select out of it, but we don't have a particular screening method.
Yeah, and that's also where the half sheets that we have come in handy too, because we can ask folks to just share those with their networks because they got to this farmers market for a specific reason, maybe based off friends and family that they can provide that information to. So it also gets at the legacy of some of the community events, farmers markets that we attend to. They have a pretty big, strong like standing with just like being around for a while, and it draws in quite a crowd from different suburbs all across Milwaukee.
Looks like Susan had a question. Have you thought about partnering with healthcare providers, clinics to share the survey either during the visit or take away for patients to do when they get home? That's a great idea. We are still a pretty new team in terms of the staff we have right now, so we're still building connections. So this is actually our first opportunity that we're connecting with everybody with the current staffing that we have. So if anybody has suggestions for contacts of, I know David Goins, you're at Progressive, right? So maybe that could be something we would connect with you about. But if anybody has any other ideas for healthcare providers that might want to share with patients, please put that in the chat or let us know.
Just to speak to that, usually at our clinic, we have outside organizations set up tables in our lobbies, and they connect with our patients as they're coming to or going from their appointments. So that's usually a good way to communicate and distribute any information to the public and people you may not have direct access to.
Great. And David, could we follow up with you after to try to set that up?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thanks. All right. And then, David, it looks like you also dropped a flyer in the chat. Do you have a health fair coming up August 10th?
We do. It is in partnership with Fredericton Medical College and our next generation. It is in celebration of National Health Centers Week. It is a community fair free to the public. So the flyer is in the chat. If anyone has the opportunity, feel free to stop by. That would also be a good opportunity. I don't know if you would like to set up a resource table and distribute information to the community as they stop by and participate in the fair. That's another good way of making that contact and making connections with people you may not usually have an opportunity to connect with.
Great, thank you.
I just want to share about Photovoice. When you started talking about that, I was kind of skeptical, but as I'm thinking about it, I really have started to like the idea a lot. And it just seems like you could pair the survey and the Photovoice things, say, you know, you have two ways to tell us what you think. One of the things that I'm going to do is to talk to my partner who does most of the public speaking for us and see how we can include these two activities in what we do. So we'll try to do some outreach as well.
Thank you so much. And I saw that CUPH has already tweeted about our either the survey or Photovoice. So if anyone else is on social media, we'd love for you to share this on your social media accounts too. Any other?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Annika, this is Lee Valentine. Yeah, I'm curious if you have any way to provide equipment at the events that you're at, like have cameras or smartphones there and ask people to take pictures like right there on site to capture things that they find interesting.
Yeah, we do have tablets. So we've talked about letting people take a tablet and walk around and then come back and return it. In the past, they actually had disposable cameras, but I feel like we've passed the age of disposable cameras. So we're trying to focus on the technology we have now.
How do people attach the caption to the pictures when they, and how do they send them to you? I mean, not everybody really knows how to do that all that well.
Yeah, Amanda Daly, do you want to take that one?
Yes, so when you go to the site milwaukee.gov/photovoice, there will be a short, I think it says click here, And yep, Amanda's pulling it up. And so this is what the form looks like. So you have to upload a photo first, and then we ask for the caption. And those two things are a requirement before you can submit the form. And you can do 2 of these per form until you have to resubmit another form.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's really nice to see some familiar faces, some new faces. Hope to see you all in person sometime soon. You can find us at many events this summer. Otherwise, you can always email us at mkeelevate@milwaukee.gov, and please share with your networks. We'd love to see photos from you all as well. So we really look forward to getting some submissions and hope to reconnect in the fall when we have our community meetings to share the results and actually set our priorities. So thank you again. Have a great day, and we'll see you all again soon.